Are you guys ready? Hey guys, it's Heather here with Rinse Bath & Body. I am going to tell you a little bit of the history of Rinse today. I do have some of my team members with me, so if you hear some chuckling, I promise it's not me. Well, it all started back in 2002. I was working the Supercross circuit, so that is dirt bikes. I was traveling the country. I was on the road 5 out of 7 days a week, putting on the dirt bike events. Don't worry, I wasn't riding the bikes. I was actually just helping do the production of the events as my title was, I was a National Account Manager for Sponsorship. So my job was to make sure our sponsors got everything and more that they could have ever imagined and wanted out of their Supercross experience. So I traveled across the country. I had enough time in between events to come home, do laundry, repack, and get back on the road. My season ran from January until May. And then what happened was absolutely nothing. I was home from May on. And I, if you can imagine, am a little bit of a busybody, so I always had to be doing something. But I had to be at work as well. So I was like, hey, I need a hobby. I need a creative outlet. So what happened then is I picked up some books and I went to a local shop and I got some yarn and I taught myself how to knit. Now this is pre-YouTube and Skillshare and videos and whatnot, so I tried crocheting first, that did not work at all. And so I picked up knitting and I was like, hey, I can do this. But I didn't do it very well at all. All I could do was knit squares and rectangles, and neither of them were square or rectangle. And I could only make scarves, and then they'd roll up on each other, and you only need so many scarves. So at that point, I was like, look, this is just not working. I, again, need a hobby. I need a creative outlet. So that is when a family friend told me that she had actually made soap for Christmas presents. And I was like, you did what? You made what? I had no idea that you could actually make soap. So me being the person that I am, I was like digging into research and I got all of these books and I was like, this sounds amazing, I want to try it. So I went to Michael's and I bought a kit, and it was melt and pour. So for this, you take stuff and you chop it up and you put it in the microwave and you melt it and then you pour it, and then like 5 minutes later you have a bar of soap. So it didn't take very long until melting and pouring got really boring really fast. And I found out that you could actually make soap the old-fashioned way, the way that the pioneers used to in all the little pioneer villages and all the little ladies over the cauldron stirring the pot, that you could actually make soap. But then I found out that you had to use lye with it, and that scared me so bad. So I was like, I do not want to lose a limb. How in the world am I going to read a book on how to make soap? Again, this is pre lots of videos. So I found a local store that actually taught soap making. So my mom and I went to the soap making class together. My mom is the ultra crafty woman. Like, she could paint and cross stitch, arrange flowers, you name it, she could do it. Interior design, that's her thing. But the one thing she doesn't like to do is talk to people she doesn't know. So there were 3 of us in this class. I postured myself in between my mom and the other student so she didn't have to have any awkward conversations, and we proceeded to make our soap. I chose to make pumpkin patch. Now, it was June. There was absolutely no reason for me to make a pumpkin soap other than the fact that I love the smell. And I think I was ahead of the pumpkin spice craze. My mom made oatmeal, and so we just poured and stirred and we did our thing. So we got to take our concoctions home, and after 24 hours, you actually get to cut it. So we cut our soaps. I was at my house, she was at her house. We're slicing into them. It was beautiful. I had this big hunk of brown, amazing pumpkin smelling soap. And I was like, Mom, how's your soap? And she's like, oh, mine's not ready to cut yet. I was like, what do you mean it's not ready to cut yet? She's like, I think it needs to set up a little bit longer. So like 2 weeks passed by and her soap still wasn't set up right. From this point in my life, I can confidently say that the teacher mismeasured her oils and butters, and that she did not have enough lye to make the oils and butters into soap. So hers was seriously still just a blob of slop. Thank goodness she didn't like to talk to strangers, because if I had stood where she had stood, we would be talking about knitting not so straight scarves right now, and that would not be any fun. So that is how I first made my first batch of soap. What you might not know about making soap is you make pounds of it at a time. So to justify to my husband why I needed to make more soap, I had to get rid of the soap that we had. So I took it and gave it out to anyone. So all the Supercross people were getting it. We also handled the Monster Jam. So the Monster Truck folks, they were getting soap too. Now this is back in 2002. So this is pre-Whole Foods, farmers markets, you name it. There was not natural soap. You could find it at like the Pioneer Park places, but that was about it. So I'm giving soap out to anybody who would take it. I'm making more soap. I'm getting my ingredients shipped in, loving life. And then I started traveling again. So when I'm on the road 5 out of 7 days, I can't make soap. But something really strange happened. People started wanting more soap. So they started bribing me for it. They started offering me money to make them soap. My mom loves lavender. My daughter has eczema. And so I would, in between, on my 2 days off, I would go and I would make my soap, I would let it dry, and then I would share it with the world. And at that point, that's when my husband and I looked at each other and were like, hey, we might have something here. And that is when Rinse was born. So July of 2003, we started Rinse. He thought of the name. It was a road trip between Chicago and Atlanta. I wanted something clean and fresh, and that didn't necessarily pigeonhole me to soap, because I knew there was a whole world out there. And that's how the name Rinse came to be. So we bought the domain rinsesoap.com, and that part was history. We built our website. Shortly thereafter, he actually got a really good job offer to move us from Chicago to Atlanta. And it meant that I didn't have to work corporate America and I could focus on soap. So we moved in August, and it was crazy. People were like, you can't live off of soap. You can't make money off of soap. But I was bound and determined. So we moved here into downtown Atlanta, into an apartment. And I called every school, every craft show, every church, anybody who was anybody that knew anything about craft shows. And I was like, hey, I'm trying to get into craft shows. Are there any craft shows? Well, what I didn't realize is this whole craft show circuit, it's a serious business. And you actually get into craft shows January or February before the craft show. Like, I was 8 months late to the game calling these people like, hey, do you have a spot? Luckily, a few people did indeed have spots in their craft shows, and we got in. We pulled up to our very first show. It was Lassiter High School, which is actually one of the really good craft shows in the area. I had no idea, super naive. We pull up in Damon's Dodge Dakota pickup truck with an extended cab. Everything we had is in the back of this pickup truck, and we are pulling up, and these pickup trucks have full 30-foot trailers behind them with their displays and their products, and here we're Tula. We're like, okay, we have arrived. And we set up, and I will tell you, we didn't have the money to invest in big displays, so I used priority mailboxes, folded up. I had gotten a few yards of fabric from Joann's, and I made my risers and my tables and baskets from the dollar store, and we set our display up, and we got so many compliments, not only from shoppers, but from other exhibitors and the show management themselves about how nice our display was. And our display was seriously made up of priority mailboxes and some yardage of discount fabric from Joann's. So that first show, we did really, really well. We sold out of so many products. I met so many nice people, and then I learned about the world of craft shows. It's a circuit among itself. They were like, oh, you need to do this one. You need to do this one next. Oh, I'll talk to this person. And it rolled like a snowball. And we went from doing, I think we did 4 or 5 craft shows that first year to there are craft shows in the spring. Do you know that big office buildings do concierge gift shows? Well, I found out about that. Then junior leagues do gift shows, and then the children's hospital people host shows in their homes to raise money. There's this whole circuit of gift shows. And as we were working that circuit for 2 or 3 years, At one point, I think we did 167 different shows in a year, ranging from a 4-hour show to a 3-day show. Some days I would have a show in the afternoon or a farmer's market, and then I'd do a show at night. It was crazy. We were all over the place. Then people started recognizing that they loved our products, and I got boutique owners or people who had friends that had stores, and they're like, hey, we want to carry your product in our shop. Me being the person that I am, was like, ooh, I don't know anything about that. So I actually got a job at a paper store because they would let me go do buying, and I didn't know what the world of wholesale looked like. And I needed to do all the research because that's who I am. I'm a researcher. So I went and worked in a paper store for a couple of years to learn the lingo. What is wholesale? What does an order form look like? What are the expectations? How do people order? Where do they order? All of this stuff. And as I was doing that, we gained about 12 to 18 wholesale accounts. So retail stores that wanted to carry our product that we were shipping to or that we were delivering to. And at the point of, people kept coming to us, and that's Damon and I looked at each other again and we're like, what if we tried this wholesale thing? So we did our first wholesale show right at the collapse. It was 2008 in January. We showed up, a slightly larger pickup truck, but still the same deal. People had these huge, gorgeous displays, and they were telling us how many tens of thousands of dollars that they had done in orders the year before. And all I was like is, I would love to cover the cost of our booth. That's all I want. I don't need a lot. Just cover the cost of the booth. And we did. We did actually way better than that. And it was great having no expectations. So we've been doing wholesale shows twice a year, in every January and July. There's a whole circuit. So we've been doing Atlanta, Dallas, New York, Las Vegas. We've done the Chicago show a few times. We've done LA show, growing our wholesale customer base. So now we're sitting at about 1,800 stores across the country that carry our product. We've been in big retailers. REI has carried us. We're in Whole Foods, Earthbound Trading Company, Macy's in their collection, their store in a store, their Story. They carry us some seasons. We've got amazing websites like Uncommon Goods that we do a custom product for, and that has all just kind of grown organically. Now, through all of this, we are still making all of our products from scratch by hand. The people that I'm telling the story to actually are the people who make the product. And we are still very much a small business. We're right in the heart of downtown Monroe, Georgia, which is about 40 miles east of Atlanta. We have our retail store here. We have our production space. We have retail space in Disney. We get invited to their festivals all throughout the year, all of the festivals, and we theme our products for whatever event they happen to be having going on at the time. We started our relationship with Disney the same year that we started doing our wholesale shows. So in 2008, we've been working with them ever since. We've had stores in Disneyland, we've had our own shop in Disney Springs, and we've just constantly nurtured that tie with Disney. So now we are, building bigger and better our retail store, bringing in new product. We're constantly trying to bring in new scents and new products to our product assortment for our online customers and our retailers as well. Well, thank you so much for being with me for the journey of how Rinse started and how we got to where we are today. It is powered by an amazing culture. It is powered by an amazing team. We have stay-at-home moms who are no longer stay-at-home moms. We have college students, high school students, you name it. We try to provide the workplace that we always wished we had. So thanks for being a part of the journey. Why, thank you. So that's really the Rinse story.